You guys, don't don't buy super old BMWs and beg people to do work on them. It's not nice. It's not cool. Don't don't buy a super flashy car like a 6 series and then be an absolute peasant about how you get it worked on. Work on it yourself. If you only got 200 bucks to your name, you better spend that money on an impact wrench because especially if you have the tool, like, or the part. This this makes BMW drivers look bad. Um, and BMW drivers, we make ourselves look bad enough. But this takes the cake. Let's just go. This is like my 17th intro for this because I am just with what's going on here. It is incredible. Let's get into it. All right, you guys. So here it is. I found this in BMW Cars and Parts, New Jersey. Funny thing is I actually have a friend that works in New Jersey at a BMW dealership. So I talked to him about this. That is on the way. So read the full ad, watch the vid before contacting me. It never looks good to start off with caps locks on. Just want to put that out there. If you're buying a car, selling a car, trying to get a car worked on, and you're on Craigslist or social media, no one wants to work with somebody who comes off just off-putting. So I sell a lot of cars. I buy a lot of cars on Facebook and on Craigslist. And if a seller buyer doesn't sound trustworthy, I'm not going to meet up with them with a bunch of money to buy a car or sell a car. So just cringeworthy start. But I always think like maybe this is just somebody who's new to the internet. Needs starter installed. 2005 645 Ci. Love 6 Series. 6 Series are absolutely gorgeous. Actually, this is it down there. I didn't get a very good picture of the 6 Series, I'm sorry, but it looks really clean. It looks really good. Looks like the guy takes care of his car. Needs starter installed, $200 cash. Now that just like when I saw that, it struck me as like, no one's going to do that. Like that is so cheap. I just had my starter replaced on my 2003 Infiniti i35. And, I would have done it myself, but I threw my back out and I needed the job done. So I took it over to one of the local shops here that I like. And I think it cost me a little over, oh man, a little over like 280, I think it was. Like, I was looking for the receipt earlier, but I know it was, we'll just round up to like 300 bucks. That's an Infinity. And the starter's not super hard to get to, but you got to assume, okay, the shop rate where I go is 130. And then, so the guy's going to take an hour, so that's 130 bucks. And I provided the starter, but it took 2 hours. So it, I don't know. I don't know. And that's an Infinity with the starters is kind of accessible. On these BMWs to get to the starter, it's hard to get to. And then there's a lot going on under the hood. There's not a whole lot of room to work around. But we'll get to that. That's what the YouTube video covers. Oh, man. It gets worse. See, now this is where I completely lost faith. And I realized this needed to be a video. Is don't waste anyone's time if you don't know how to work on these cars. Starter is located passenger side underneath. It's about an hour or so job as shown in the vid link posted. Oh man. If interested in doing this job for this price, send DM. Thanks. Serious inquiries only. I have no time for rookies or nonsense. Okay. No one's going to work with you, bro. No one's going to work with you. See the 27 laughing comments? That's not a good sign. Not a good indication of of people's opinion of your advertisement. So, all right. So, first off, if you're gonna buy a luxury car, um, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, the obvious ones, Porsches, Maseratis, you're gonna pay a premium to have your car worked on. My background, I was a BMW genius, client advisor, and finance manager here in Humboldt County for 5 years. I have bought and sold thousands of BMWs. And I gotta say, the 6 Series and the 645 in particular, they are amazing cars, but they are extremely expensive and hard to work on. So at the dealership, if I had taken that 645 in on trade, I probably would have had my master tech look at it first, because just because the starter's out doesn't mean that that's the only problem. Sometimes getting to a problem, you find more problems. And on something like a 6 Series, I would want to know if the parts were affordable, available, and, you know, in this YouTube video, this guy misses a huge step, which is removing the heat shield if you're going to go from working underneath the car. Not to mention, he also has the front suspension taken off and taken apart as well because his tie rods were shot. So saying that, this is going to be a 1 hour job based on that video is flawed logic already. But that being said, let's jump into the video. All right, you guys. So we are going to jump over to YouTube and we're going to go to fixing this and that and then some. This guy is working on his own BMW. He's working on a 650i, which is a V8 version of the 6 Series. And he is going to go from underneath. And typically underneath the car, you have a heat shield that runs just, underneath the engine to protect the engine, typically from debris, and to protect the rest of the components from the heat of the engine, as the name implies. So, I'll leave a link to this guy's channel, and if you want to see more of his stuff, check him out. I'm not going to do the whole video. I'm just going to let it play, and then we're going to pause it when it gets to the main part that disputes our guys pricing. So let's get over to it. All right, so here we are. He has just explained that by going underneath the car rather than going through the top, you don't have to take off motor mounts and air boxes. And he says from going underneath, he spent 45 minutes to an hour getting the starter out. But as we're going to see, here, let me just...
around, I say an hour. All right, I'm gonna give you the whole rundown, what I did, how it came out, without having to dismantle the manifolds. You don't have to take off the motor mounts. You don't have to remove the subframe. You don't have to do any of that. all you have to do is remove the starter in the upper air box with the windshield wipers and that support bracket. All right. So here I have 650i that I purchased from a gentleman who put a new motor
like
in it.
trying to look more like what I want to see the interior.
And, he went wrong because he had a battery in there that was like for a damn Toyota Camry. And you know how these babies like to eat up some power. So anyway, the car done shut down on him. So I had to do IMPA and, marry the key back to the
So, just from my history, I wonder. I just wonder, did this generation not have big glass mat batteries? Is this still one of the generations that has a small battery, or was this person really just limping this thing along? I don't recommend doing that. Obviously, when he says that he has to do IMPA, the car was immobilized. The car immobilized itself. So he has to repair the key and tell the car that it's not a stolen vehicle and that it can be back on the road.
mobilizer. So here I am. All right, so let's get right into it. I know you don't like to hear all this nonsense, so let's get right to it. All right, so here's the starter here. All right, that's the new one. And like I said, it took me 45 minutes. I didn't remove any of this. What I did remove was my tie rods because they were shot. That's all I did under here. I'm doing my tie rods. So as I came under here, and I'm saying to myself, I gotta remove all this crap because I watched a few videos on YouTube, and all these people were removing engine mounts, exhaust manifolds, subframe, none of that, none of it. All right. So you got your first two bolts to hold your starter. There's one here, and there's one above it, and I believe they're E14 inverted sockets there. All right. It took me longer to do the heat shield than it did the starter. All right. So.
Okay, let's rewind that. We're listening for this. He's going to say it took him longer to do the heat shield than the starter.
To do the heat shield than it did the starter. All right? So what you do is once you take these bolts out and disconnect.
So, the heat shield is not a simple job. Let's go into the comments. Boom. New to you. He says, back at the beginning of this, your viewers simply asked you how you removed the heat shield, and I noticed you never responded, so they called me. I'm a retired automotive technician and shop owner. I don't need customers. So how did you remove that heat shield? A lot of you viewers want to know because you did mention it took a long time. For your viewers that are about to try and remove their own starter before they get into it, explain what you had to do to get the heat shield off to them so they will know exactly what to do or what they are about to get into. What year is the BMW in the video? If the starter that was already removed and installed. Anyways, this guy is saying that as a technician and shop owner, this, getting the heat shield off is a hard thing to do. And then I think yep. So, new to you then goes further into detail about the heat shield and how to get it off. So, pretty cool. Honestly, I make some really poorly made videos. I'm not ragging on anyone, but I like how the community has kind of come together to find these solutions. And in his video, he mentions that he watched a few YouTube videos. And when I'm working on a new car, that's exactly what I do. So I think it's pretty cool. And I like this guy's, this guy has a very real way of showing what to do and how to do it. And I think that's pretty cool. That's kind of what I like to do in my videos, is just be very straightforward. I don't do a whole lot of editing. So yeah, I just think this is really cool. This guy did a great job. But this video, we have to remember the reason we're at this video is because this guy on Facebook is claiming doing the starter is a 1-hour job. So my other question for the guy on Facebook would be, is your heat shield off? Is it just, is the starter accessible? But yeah, that is the YouTube video. Now let's go into some of the lore. Because it just, the community just takes it out on our cheap 645 guy. So let's go take a look. So going back to the advertisement we saw, maybe this guy really needs to be asking for 2 or 3 hours of pay, because you're not getting the whole story. You've relied on YouTube for the basis of your pricing. And in the guy's video, he even says, like, hey, it took longer to do the heat shield than it did the starter. So you can't charge $200. Like, it's just an error in how you processed the logic from the video. That's all. It happens. Sometimes we miss things, but let's get back to it. So, in the beginning of the video, I mentioned how you kind of gotta be a cool guy if you want to get your car fixed for $200. Here a month later, and it still isn't fixed. It's been a month. Sorry I had to edit all these names out. I really just don't want these people harassed. Dude blocked me because I reacted to one of his comments, and then he laughed at every single one of my public posts. See, I don't mind making this video now. So he says, all the mechanics on here are mad because I posted a way to do this job for less hours, which means less pay. Gotta love crooked mechanics, still trying to charge 7 hours. I think, as we figured out in the YouTube video, maybe getting the starter out is a 1-hour job, but that guy had the car taken apart, and that guy obviously knew what he was doing, and he did not mention the heat shield. So, let's get more comments. So this is one that starts a whole thread exposing this guy's antics and how many people he's reported and thrown into Facebook jail over this. Bro, I hope you know your rear end is being blasted on a few different BMW groups. Do it yourself, and don't be such a jerk in your ad. Either get your thing fixed or stop posting about it. I want to see other poor people that own BMWs, not just flaming them, not just flaming you every day. Now we're going to go into all these people this guy's reported. All right, so here we are at the reported thread, and some more of just trolling of this poor guy who doesn't want to spend money to get his car fixed. The snowflake gets me. They covered up his face with a snowflake. I'm gonna use that later. I think that's a great. If he could, he would. Yeah, I mean, I actually found my receipt, and it was $234 in labor plus taxes. It turns out I didn't have the starter for that, so actually it was a $600 job. So but having the part, it would have only been $234. So I'm shocked no one has taken him up on his generous offer yet. Oh, and then let's see. So here's actually more information that's really interesting. It took me 2 hours, but it's conceivable. The rear pan and exhaust have to come out, which also involve the transmission cross brace. You see, if any of that is true, that's not work I want done cheaply, I guess. It's just, oh, and then there's me. Like, I'm just saying, hey, I'm going to make a video on this. And look, there's people saying, hey, is this the guy from the $200 ad? And then people, look, there's people in other countries talking about this. So just absolutely incredible. And then finally, all right. So look, here's one guy that said, I'll take your catalytic converters and $200 on top for this job. They just reported him. um, he just, there's some of the jokes. Why do I get the feeling he owes a bunch of back child support? And Hanks Hill's voice, what a bitch. Oh man, I'm gonna get demonetized for this. Yeah, and you know, I was saying, you just gotta be chill. I was saying it's not a very bro-like way to come at it. And then someone was saying, like, I think they tagged him. And then people are saying he deleted his Facebook. Absolutely, absolutely just one of those things where you don't intend to go viral. And it's just the perfect storm of, you know, not putting the best representation of yourself out there, and a really, really large community just grabbing hold of it. So, that being said, I actually reached out to a friend of mine, a friend of mine that works at the New Jersey BMW dealership, and I just made this little clip after speaking to him this morning. So, here we go. All right, you guys, to wrap up this video, I spoke to my buddy this morning, who is a salesman at BMW of Freeport there in New York. And he was saying there's actually a shop that he would recommend in Queens called The Stance. And then he also mentioned that their shop rate is between 140 and 180. So not horrible. I really don't know why this guy won't just go to a dealership. It's, you know, another thing my friend mentioned is maybe he's worn out his welcome. I mean, we have had some clients who repeatedly, you know, just give us issues, and mainly in billing, you know, like disputing a bill, or coming in and yelling and screaming and making a big, you know, a big fuss over things that don't need to be yelled and screamed at about. We'll get you politely asked to not come back. It's not common. I really think it only happened like once or twice, and you know, the guy wound up smashing a window. So not, you know, it's not something that happens often. But yeah, The Stance in Queens. And then I just think that if this guy were to genuinely ask for help from the BMW community in New York, he'd probably get somebody cool that wants to help him out. But the problem is, it kind of sounds like a jerk, and no one wants to help a jerk, and nobody wants to do a job for $200 that they know that is worth more than that. And somebody that knows how to do that job, they're going to value their time more than you value their time. Somebody that can do that job is probably out buying and flipping cars, or working in a shop, or doing something really lucrative with their time. They're not going to be, you know, scrounging mobile mechanic ads trying to make $200 to work on what a lot of people consider to be just You know, it's a 6 Series. There's always things going wrong with them. I had a very wealthy client that had a 645, an older one than that, but it just we were just chasing problems with that thing. And I think that most people that know BMWs are not going to be super interested in working on a high mileage, low budget 6 Series. So, man, that wraps it up. You guys in the, I see the pores are into BMW ownership now. Hello? Sorry I had to edit your names out. I know some of you didn't mind it, but I did my best to edit all the names out and also produce this video in a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, you guys, if you see any updates on that 645 Ci, send them my way. Hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Facebook, send me that info. I want it. And yeah, don't harass the poor guy. He's gotten enough. Let him be. But yeah. All right, you guys. Enjoy. Hey, you guys. That's the end of the video. We're here. If you got this far, like, subscribe, comment, argue with me. I'm a bit of a a-hole. Like, I'll argue with you. But yeah, this is the end of the video. Like, subscribe, argue with the other people in the comments. But yeah, enjoy life, people. Have a good one.